We're on.
Hello, everyone watching. Welcome, and thank you for showing up this evening to the virtual opening for Tokonomo, an amazing exhibition by a very talented artist named Pauline Lawson, and she's joining me right now. Hi. My name is Stephen Snyder. I am the Gallery and Communications Coordinator for the West Vancouver Community Arts Council, and we are hosting this wonderful exhibition here at the Silk Purse Arts Centre on the lands that are also known as West Vancouver and are the traditional unceded territories of the Coast Salish peoples. And where we're coming to you from is in particular the home of the Squamish peoples. And as settlers and guests, the Arts Council is incredibly grateful to be on these beautiful lands, to be inspired by all of this majesty around us. And I think we're going to be talking a lot about inspiration this evening with our amazing artist and all of the fantastic work that she's created, which you can kind of see behind me. So like I said, the exhibition is here at the Silk Purse Arts Centre. And it is on until the end of the month, until the 29th of September. And you can come visit us Wednesday through Sunday. We'll be open from 12 to 5 on Wednesday through Friday and 12 to 4 on Saturday and Sunday. So now, what you've all been waiting for, we're going to meet Pauline, our amazing artist. And if you have any questions or comments for her, please drop them in the chat and we'll get to them throughout the evening. Awesome. So hello, Pauline, welcome.
Thank you. Good evening.
Awesome. So Pauline, before we get into the artwork, why don't you tell everyone watching a little bit about your artistic background and your practice?
Well, I've been painting since I was a very young child. I've had various schoolings, which I don't have to go into, but I came to Canada in 1970. And there was a family catastrophe, you could call it. My mother died. And I turned to art because it was the most healing place I could go to. And I was very lucky to get involved with a gentleman, David Anderson, Professor David Anderson from UBC. And he gave a course in his studio for silkscreen. So I had 2-year private tuition with him. And I learned a lot about color separation and colors from him. Anyway, it grew from there. I started to doodle, and he said that I should keep on doodling, and that's what happened. I kept on working from my imagination, and eventually I got an agent in England. I had an agent for 7 years in England and exhibited, but it became quite difficult because I had to do years work, put it on a plane and hope it got there. So it was too far away. So that ended after 7 years. And my career kept on going where I live now on the Sunshine Coast. I've had quite a few exhibits, teaching, and my most exciting work was doing the murals for Camp Good Times for children with cancer. I directed murals for 5 years. And those murals were put into print, and the money was for cancer research. But I loved the children. It was very creative. That was a special time. Then I taught seniors to paint. That was another special time. Wonderful people who'd led very, very busy and difficult lives in Canada during the depressions and everything. Didn't have time to paint until they got old. And then they wanted to paint and were frightened to paint. Because when you look at a blank piece of paper, you are terrified. But I taught those people and I came up with some wonderful work. We had exhibits. I just enjoy my life. I enjoy my work. I'm an artist. I work from my imagination. I couldn't be any happier. Thank you. Does that say anything?
Yeah, that's great. That was awesome. Thank you so much. That was a great bit of background. That was that's quite the varied and impressive career you've had, Pauline.
Thank you. And raised 2 sons, family.
Amongst all of that.
Yeah. All that
That's
stuff.
pretty amazing.
All that, yeah.
Right. So now that we know a bit more about you, let's talk a bit more about this amazing exhibition. So, and please correct me if I'm pronouncing this wrong, but it's called Tokonoma.
Yes.
Which is a Japanese word and a Japanese concept. Why don't you tell us a bit about it? What is a Tokonoma?
A tokonoma is an alcove in a house. And it goes back to, I believe, about the 16th century. And I was inspired by a program, excuse me, a program about Japan, about the special place in a house that is an honored place, a place where you put a calligraphy, a cabana, special work, a stone from the beach, or something special. And guests would come to the house and sit and contemplate the work of that house. And so when I was thinking about this exhibit, I was thinking about the Tokonoma. And because my books are quite small, I wanted to house them somehow. And I thought about the box. And then I knew I couldn't build an alcove in the silk purse, physically build one, but I could make it with canvas, and it grew from there. And so I've got my canvas with my portals that came also when I was walking. I dreamt those, and the books are in the boxes. There is a pebble or a branch, a cabana or a pebble for people to meditate on and just to enjoy. That was my concept.
That's wonderful. And we're going to have a closer look at some of that work in a minute. We're going to go on a little virtual tour of the exhibit, so you can see, everyone watching can see how it looks and get very, very tempted so they come in person to experience it, because it's, like you said, there's a lot to really look at and to experience in this exhibition. There's a lot of to get lost in a wonderful way. So actually, let's do that right now. Let's take that tour of the exhibit. I'm just gonna pull that up. Awesome. So this is what you would see as you enter in the gallery, kind of an overview of the piece, the space as a whole. Just got some information, about Pauline's amazing career here, this very impressive CV and bio that she has, that you just heard some of. Yeah, so this would be the first piece you see as you come in. Like you were saying, Pauline, it's the pieces are on the canvas, so it's a very striking image when to come in and look at. And that fabric at the bottom, you were saying when we were installing this that's from Japan, correct?
It's a traditional Japanese design. It's one of their original designs. So I sent for the material to complement my Tokonoma.
Yeah, excellent. And these beautiful paintings in these very elegant frames. These are the portal paintings that you had mentioned. And then, of course, as you also said, there's these fantastic books in these great shelves. And as everyone can see, Pauline has also produced these great images that are almost, it's almost like a poster, you could say, that are sort of it's a flattened version of her books. You can see examples of what the front and back are made up of, all the little pieces in sort of a two-dimensional form rather than the great three-dimensional that they are, because they fold in like a little accordion, which makes them almost like little sculptures. But then these flattened versions really illustrate all of the many parts and many pieces of them. And Pauline had this a great description of a Tokonomo and her inspiration that she printed up on this great board. Yeah, there's just a little view of the back and all of the wonderful details on the back of this one book. Yes, and they really, everything really comes together with these painted canvas backdrops. It really makes a unified presentation. It's a great design. And Pauline's also got some great postcards that you can grab as well, and some sample books if people want to. These ones they can pick up rather than the ones that are on display in the exhibition. And there's a lot of different types of media in both of this sort of series, in the books and in the portal series. Have you always been into using multiple types of media for a project?
This is the first time I've used all of this kind of collage media stuff. I started about 4 years ago making the books and collecting pieces. And then I had reproductions of my own work that I've included, my own poetry. And in every book, there's an original painting. And inside of the little, I call it a cupboard, you can open the book. Inside there's a poem, various things, some original printing of my work, plus vintage postcards, a miniature postcard, hand painted. There's a lot of hand painting. There's a lot of things within things, which I have always loved as a child. I like seeing things within things. It's a magical kind of thing. And every book is different, every single one. There's no repeats. And every original painting comes from the color that I'm working with from the back of the book. I make a strip of color, and then I look at that color, and one day I say, I think I'll make a blue book. And it develops from that. And the stamps, I've been given some fantastic stamps from very good friends that go in the book. It's just an ongoing creation.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. That's wonderful. So actually, let's get into each series and kind of sort of the inspiration behind them, if you like. Since we were talking about the books, let me just got a picture here of one of the flattened things. Let's pull that up. Okay. Yeah. So as you were saying, you talk about a strip of color across the back. I guess in this example, that would be sort of this turquoise, correct?
That would be the turquoise for this particular book. Yeah. Then I look at my Japanese paper. I have
so you start with that, and then how does that influence the work?
Pardon?
So how does this color, how does that inform the rest of the piece?
Because if a person wants to learn to paint, it's the color that is the inspiration first. When I taught people to paint, I taught them how to put a strip of color on a piece of paper. And from that, you can develop something. It's the color that makes it. So the blue came in, and then I look at that, then I make my book from that blue. And it develops from all the pieces, the paintings, the poetry, comes from that color. And if people want to learn to paint, they just have to go outside and look at nature. That's what they have to do. Go and look. Just keep looking.
Yeah.
And if you look at nature and your eye catches onto something in a ditch or somewhere, you look to see, why does that stand out? Why did that stand out? You look behind it, around it, and there's your composition of color. It's all out there.
Yeah. So nature is one of your big inspirations.
Oh yes, always.
Yeah. Yeah. And why did you start creating these little tiny books? What was the appeal?
I started doing the books because I had done a lot of large work. I was quite fed up with different things in my life. And one day I just went to my studio, and I always wanted to make a small book. And a friend of mine had given me a collage card. And I thought, I think I'll just make a book with bits of paper. And it grew.
Yeah.
And then I discovered a wonderful paper place in Toronto. And I get my Japanese paper from there now. I used to get it in Granville Island, but I don't know if they've closed, but I've got a wonderful selection of Japanese paper, and it's a huge inspiration.
Yeah.
They're the best designers. One of the best designers in the world are Japanese designers, in my opinion, of course.
Yeah.
Maybe people beg to differ, but they are great aesthetic. A great aesthetic. I love the way they do things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you said, and as you can see, there is some poetry on here. So I guess you're also a poet.
Well, I scribble around.
That's wonderful. Why did you choose to include that sort of expression amongst sort of the visual art? What was it about getting the word across that you thought would complement these pieces?
It just seemed to go with the imagery and what I was trying to show someone or tell someone. Whoever buys a book, looks at a book, enjoys a book, the poetry is something that they can meditate on, or maybe hopefully it will touch them. I'm very fond of haiku. My poetry isn't always haiku, but I do like it. Just the word, the color, the imagery. It's a book.
Excellent. So simple. It's a book.
As simple as that.
That's excellent. Yeah, no, they're fantastic. I'm actually going to go grab one of the sample ones. Show it off and show it off for everyone. So they're these amazing. They're tiny, but they're big at the same time. They make a big impact, and they're nice and long. And like you were saying, there is this great little secret hidden pocket.
Yeah.
In this one here, there's this. You kind of see here's the inside, and then you get this wonderful little surprise door, almost like another book. And then all of those great little surprises that we're talking about, you know, that's wonderful. These little extra gems for people to discover. That's wonderful. And there's a lot of, as you're saying, there's the Japanese paper, and there's a lot of other little stamps and bits of ephemera. What is it about those found sort of pieces that delights you or makes you want to incorporate them in?
I think when you start doing something like this, anyone who does collage, the excitement is finding things. It's about finding things, and then you find the right thing. It's kind of it's like a game. I enjoy it. So I've got lots of drawers with bits and things. I'm always looking through them, but it has to be the right thing. It can take a long time to put the right thing together. It can take quite a few hours. It's not just
I can imagine.
It's not random. It's very, very carefully thought out. Very carefully. Yeah. So I pick something.
Yeah, you can definitely see that there's a lot of care and a lot of thought. There's so much cohesion in these books.
A lot of thought. It's years of thought. It's years of thought. It's actually 50 years of thought. When people say to an artist, how long does it take? It took me 50 years.
Definitely.
It's years of work, and it's years of thinking, and it's years of looking and exploring and reading and learning. It's everything, you know. Things don't just happen.
No, there's a lot that goes into our work. Like you're saying, there's tons of experience and that has to go into creating them. Let's talk about the next series that kind of makes up this exhibition. Those are your portal pieces. I'm going to pull up another one of those. Great. Yeah. So tell us about these portals. Where do they come from? Where are they looking to?
They came from a walk. I went for a walk, and I have no idea what I had seen beforehand or what I'd read, but I could see the portal. I could see that portal. And so I rushed home and got them quickly on paper in case I forgot what I'd seen. And there's gold leaf on everything I do. There's partly Japanese paper. The paper they're painted on comes from Montreal. It's handmade. And the portal, of course, is very reminiscent of Japanese, their gateways. A gateway, it's a gate, it's a portal, it's a gate to another dimension, or whatever people want to think. And they as well, just they grow with, I do a color first, start with the color, drag the color down, decide what has to go with it, put it together. There you go. I like doing those too.
Sorry, I was muted.
I lost
Sorry,
your voice. I lost you.
Yeah, I had the mute on. As I was saying, as you said in this, how the the Japanese architecture, the arches and the Japanese papers and fabrics from the rest of the pieces, you seem to be very taken with art and culture in Japan. Have you ever been there?
I haven't, only in my dreams.
Yeah.
And you know, watching beautiful programs on Knowledge Network, and books, a lot of reading, a lot of looking. I've seen exhibits before of Japanese embroidery in Vancouver, actually, and Japanese packaging years ago in Vancouver. And once you've seen these things, you just don't forget them. They're so beautiful.
Yeah. No, wonderful. And I love what you said about having to get the artwork down right away, just get it out of you.
Right.
Is that more of a methodical sort of process?
I missed some of you. I lost some of you.
Oh, sorry.
I
was asking if
you must have gone into a portal.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
You must have gone in. You went.
As you were saying with the portals,
Oh, the portal.
The inspiration came to you and you had to get it out, get it onto the paper. Is that normally how you...
Yeah. Yeah. Can you hear me, Stephen?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. No, normally when something happens, I have to get it out quick.
Yeah.
It's all my life, 50 years of work. I have to make sure that I keep working on that, because if you wait too long, it'll fade.
I hear you. Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Awesome. And now
There we are.
I think, and if just a reminder, everyone watching, if you have any questions or comments, leave them in the chat and we'll get to them. Now, I think we'll pull up an image of the Tokonoma, or the reinterpretation of them that you've created, and see how all of your how all these series have kind of come together. Get a little bit of a better look at one of those. Awesome. That's wonderful. So how did you come up with the, you'd mentioned earlier when you were talking about how you couldn't physically build an alcove in the gallery. So how did the idea of presenting everything on a canvas like this, how did that come to you?
In bed. Yeah. Just came in bed when I was, partly asleep, and I went, that's what I'll do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. No,
that's the way to do it.
it's quite effective. It really brings these two series together, which there's a lot of connective tissues between them in terms of color and the textures and the different materials being used. But the portals in the books are quite different. But when presented this way, it really unifies them. It really kind of makes it almost one big piece.
Thank you.
Yeah. Which is pretty amazing. Now, why did you choose this particular color for the background? I was very curious about that.
Again, I just knew I had to do that. It had to be that. So I went to Benjamin Moore, I went to various paint shops until I found the color that I wanted. Yeah. And the box on the inside is, it's taken from a Japanese lacquer bowl. It's a cinnabar red. So it's as near as I could get to a Japanese lacquer for the inside of the box. And then on the outside, I've got Japanese paper in strips screwed onto the outside of the box. And my very good friend made me my boxes.
The boxes are lovely. They're
a
artwork in themselves. Yeah, it's fantastic. So the Tokonomo is kind of an architectural feature, as you said, that's found in homes. But in the wonderful write-up that you have presented on this board on the wall, you mentioned that they're not necessarily something you find in more modern or newer homes, correct?
Correct, because in Japan, a lot of people don't have the pleasure to have a large home. They live in tiny homes. A lot of people live in very tiny homes in Japan, but they still have a space, no matter how small, where they put an object. They'll always find a space to put a tiny object. But it's probably people who can afford to have a large home who can have a Tokonoma. But ordinary people, they'll find a way to display something that is precious. It's about something precious. So even if you have a tiny place, we all have a little thing that we like in the house. It could be a stone, even off the beach, or anything really that we hold precious. But the original Tokonomas were from the wealthy homes of samurai, people who could afford to buy calligraphy, who could get the ikebana made, who could afford to put things in that alcove. It was a sign of wealth.
Yeah.
And also it's a sign of honor, the honoring of art.
That's wonderful. That idea of being able to, or finding that it's important to honor art and creation and the skill and imagination that goes into it, and making a very specific way to do that is pretty fascinating, because that's not necessarily something I think you think of a lot, here in Western Canada. It's that reverence for something, to give it. We all have that, I've got a great spot for this new painting or this great sculpture that I just bought, but to give it, there's a very specific place, and it's about reverence. It's not just about what's going to look good. It's about being able to acknowledge that this was an important piece and it means something to me. So I'm gonna really show it off. I think that's real magical.
It's important. No
Definitely.
matter what it is, it's very important to appreciate art, and to honor any artist who do, anybody who does their work, no matter what, they put their heart and soul into it, to respect it. And if you buy a painting or an object or a vase or whatever you do it because you love it. And mostly people do put it in a special place. So that
Yeah.
everyone has a Tokonoma.
Totally, definitely. That's great. I love it. Everyone has one. That's kind of true. Yeah. Excellent. So I think we're getting pretty good. If anyone watching has anything they want to say or any questions, I think now would be the great time to jump in and see what Pauline has to say to what you have to say. And while we wait for anyone to write anything in, I'll just remind everyone that this beautiful exhibition is on at the Silk Purse Art Center in West Vancouver. We're right next to John Lawson Park, and we're having this artwork up until September 26th. That's a Sunday, and you can come visit the show from Wednesday through Sunday. From noon on, we're open. You can come on in and have a real good look at all of this this stunning, delicate and art, this honorable art. And Pauline, I know when you were it was the way everything's displayed was a vision that you had, which is very helpful that you came in with an idea of how the exhibition should look. But you also included, as you can kind of see behind me on the boxes, objects. There's stones and there's some wood. That's also sort of part of the idea of a tokonomo, correct?
Yes, yes.
Like something you could honor,
To
no matter
honor.
what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And from nature, the honor of nature.
Yeah.
And the branches, it's kind of an ikebana, which in Japan means more than just putting flowers in a vase. It's the whole concept, history. There's so much to study and look at of their arrangements. And the stone, I like the idea that they think of it as an intimate island. You pick a stone off the beach and it's an intimate island. I like that.
That's lovely. That's fantastic. I will never look at a stone the same way again. That's pretty wonderful. Awesome. So, Pauline, what's next? Are you still kind of in this portal and this book mode and this idea of branching off into other ideas and other series of artwork?
I'm still with my books. I'm still with the books right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I have been thinking of going back to my big brushwork. I haven't done any yet, but it's been in my mind.
That's excellent. It seems like the books are going to be with you for quite a while.
Yeah, they keep me amused.
Yeah.
They keep me busy. They make me happy.
Yeah.
And
they're joyful.
Yeah, they're a challenge because they're not that easy to do.
No.
To get it coordinated and bring it together. It takes a good while. But I'm painting animals now in these little books. I'm kind of caught up with painting little animals.
That's excellent. Well, it looks like everyone watching has maybe gotten all the information they need, or they're a little shy. So I don't think we've got any questions from the audience. But I'll remind them again, come on in and see the exhibition. It's fantastic, and you can really spend a lot of time just getting immersed in all of the colors and shapes and details within these little worlds, because each one is a world. The portals are obviously, they're a portal to wherever they take you, and the books are a fantastic little journey. They're their own little world that you can go on. It's pretty wonderful. So thank you so much, Pauline, for the fantastic artwork and for being here tonight to answer these questions and share your inspirations with everyone. And this video will live on our YouTube, where everyone's watching right now. It will live there in perpetuity. So you can always come back and watch it again if you want to hear more about what Pauline had to say. So thank you so much, Pauline, for being here tonight, sharing your insights about your lovely artwork.
Thank you, Steve. It's an honor to be at the Silk Purse. Thank you.
And thank you, everyone who was watching tonight. And we hope to see you in the gallery soon. Have a wonderful evening and take care. We'll see you later.
Thank you. You also. Take care. Bye, everyone.